Hey, what's up, metal and heavy music fans? It's Flight of Icarus again with MetalTrenches.com, and today I've got a review of the new Wolf King album, The Path of Wrath, via Prosthetic Records. And hey, if you like to be kept up to date with the best and brightest metal bands and albums from the underground and above, then stick with me by hitting that subscribe button down below. Wolf King are a Bay Area Blackened hardcore band that hit the scene hard with the single Deathless from their debut EP Into the Infinite back in 2016. With a pit-worshipping fusion of blistering vocals and bruising riffs, right then and there I knew I would follow this band to the ends of the earth. They followed this up promptly in 2018 with Loyal to the Soil, now freshly signed to the Prosthetic roster. And while this follow-up didn't quite hit my admittedly sky-high expectations, I still called the union of larynx-shredding screams and corpse-grinder-esque death growls utterly orgasmic, and commended tracks like Greater Power as showcasing the band's potential to utterly dominate the metallic hardcore underground. Now with The Path of Wrath, I am pleased to report that Wolf King have really stepped up their game on all fronts with a track listing that outshines its predecessor on all fronts, and taking us on an existential exploration of life and death filled with themes of judgment, salvation, and looking beyond the veil. Now, I know a lot of black metal elitists turn their nose up at the idea of blackened hardcore even in principle, but I think even certain people in that camp may find something to enjoy with this one. Just as its stark black and white cover implies, this release leans perhaps more heavily into the band's extreme side than ever before. The atmosphere is as bleak and cold as a Norwegian winter, and the blast beats thunder as if from Hellhammer himself. Furthermore, Tim and Jacob's dual vocal assault is more focused and punishing than ever, as exemplified on tracks like Messenger of Death and Sanctuary, providing a perfectly complementary contrast of highs and lows. And speaking of Sanctuary, this song is just one example of the band's growth in delivering lyrics that, while often simplistic, are endlessly memorable and ripe for anthemic crowd participation. Like the punk rock-infused D-beats and earworm chord progressions that complement them, they'll lodge themselves deep in your brain and build a veritable nest of nihilistic rage. When they hit that sludgy chorus and Tim screams that death is the only sanctuary right before the pace change, I want to crowd kill anything within 6 feet of me. This is a huge step forward from Loyal to the Soil, if you ask me, which had a few of these moments as with the title track, but The Path of Wrath takes that all to an entirely different level with a much higher level of consistency. Other personal favorite bangers include the title track and Beholder. The former just rips and tears with its detuned chugs and relentless howls like an apex predator chasing you through the woods, while the latter both opens and closes with a barrage of drums that threatens to bring down the entire fucking house. Now, while the Ragers tend to be my favorite when it comes to Wolf King, it's also worth talking about some of the more experimental moments. In particular, The Oath was the first to turn my head on this front with its more quiet detours and implementation of clean vocals to only further emphasize Tim's unhinged bloodlust in the heavier sections. Moments like this drew comparisons to doomier bands like Barishi with emphasis on groove, atmosphere, and dynamics. Similarly, there's Incantation, which in addition to drawing from a similar well of extreme doom influences, also had me thinking back to seeing Mantar perform live around 2015 when you hit that easy come, easy go part. A sort of unholy fusion of 90s grunge and alternative with doom and sludge that conjures a very specific kind of attitude. But perhaps the biggest departure than anything I've heard from the band previously is Grief Portrait, which after a deceptively peaceful intro abruptly explodes into an unexpected torrent of mournful tremolos and further layering with the clean vocals. I haven't taken the time yet to really dig into the lyrics on this one, but even so, I am filled with a powerful energy of sorrow and regret, bubbling over in the more ominous parts into intense anger. It's like experiencing the stages of grief all in one song. All in all, I gotta say, I'm pretty impressed with what Wolf King has put together here. I was especially skeptical going in given the 54-minute runtime, and even though it might benefit from just a little trimming of the fat here and there, I'm consistently engaged way more than I was with Loyal to the Soil. There's just enough twists and turns to make an otherwise straightforward set of metallic hardcore tricks to keep from ever becoming dull or feel recycled. Like I said from the beginning, I could tell that these guys had some serious potential, and I think that the Path of Wrath is another big step towards realizing just how far they can go. I give it a 10 for enjoyability. No real duds here, and while like I said I favor the more balls-to-the-wall aggressive stuff, they just wouldn't hit as hard without the doomy and sludgy moments to offset them. I give it an 8 for musicianship. Compositions and performances are pretty straightforward, but that's not at all to say that they aren't absolutely pummeling. Sometimes brute force is just the way to go. And I give it an 8 for innovation. Not the most original album in the world, but enough of a leap forward for the band with just enough interesting new touches to warrant an above average score. So an 8.7 overall and a B+ for Wolf King and the Path of Wrath. Get it once more via Prosthetic Records. Alright y'all, we got another shout out today. This is Reaper with the Atonality of Flesh from Iron Bonehead. Reaper is a Swedish blackened thrash metal band that hit the scene hard in 2019 with their debut demo Ravenous Storm of Piss and the next year's follow-up Unholy Nordic Noise. Keeping the content flowing 3 years in a row, the Atonality of Flesh continues the band's raw worship of all things Bathory and Venom. This album is brimming with high-energy thrash riffs and D-beats alongside sickly, Obsu-esque black metal croaks. And while not representative of anything resembling strides forward in the genre, the Atonality of Flesh is the perfect time capsule of late 80s first wave black metal, just the way we like it. Like this review, it's short, to the point, and simply gets the job done. Check out killer tracks like Dogs of the Crumbled Firmament, The Sweetness of the Wound, and Through With You, and Thank Me Later. Alright y'all, thanks as always for watching, and of course let me know down in the comments what did you think of these albums. Are you new to Wolf King? Are you gonna check them out? Let's have a conversation going down there. And hey, stick around because I got plenty more videos coming right after this one. More album reviews, interviews with bands on the podcast, tier list, you name it, we've got it. So plenty of reasons to subscribe if you have not already. Also chat with us on the Discord and support on Patreon. But that'll do it for now. Flight of Icarus signing off. I will see you in the trenches.